Now we'll give you a live streaming through CCTV mobile app and other platforms. So we're pretty much close to the Spring Festival. Have you prepared your Spring Festival goods? Maybe you're still busy preparing the window. Wishes for the Spring Festival. This is a very specialized revolving door. You can see a lot of paper cuts are pasted on the revolving door. Is it beautiful? For the paper cuts, if we put it on a revolving door, it is very vivid and become three-dimensional. You can see the butterfly. It's very vivid when you paste it on the revolving door. It is such a beautiful design, very impressive. In the lobby, we can see many people are visiting this culture center. Many people are here to look at the paper cuts and to learn the technique of paper cuts. Can you hear me? We are giving you a live streaming. We can see many people are here for the paper cutting festival. Let's go inside to see what kind of paper cuts we have. And today we have a special guest, the planner, Mr. Zhong Tong. So his job is to display the hall with all kinds of beautiful paper cuttings. As a planner, I just act as the chef to prepare all the food. We can see this revolving door is very beautiful. Let's see other paper cuttings. This is a map of China. So what are the features of this map? You know, in China we have a vast land and each area have specialties. So for this paper cut, it actually highlights the features of different regions of China. Let's take a look. Let's look at the map. This is the shape of Chinese map. For different provinces, this one should be Shanxi province. Where is Liaoning province? Here. It's up in the north. You can see it highlighted mountains in Liaoning province and also the traditional northern dance. This is of northern characteristics. Can you show me where is Beijing? Here, you can see the shape of Great Wall. This represents the heart of China, the capital city. So for this map, it looks very beautiful. And from the paper cutting, you can represent all regions of China. And here in Xinjiang, you can see the Silk Road and also the melon. It's very beautiful. So this was made by a pair of scissors. Yes. Using a pair of scissors and a red paper. It's a traditional paper cutting technique. It is very difficult. So for this map, we need a lot of people to produce it. So each person responsible for certain regions and highlight the features of different provinces. You can see each person is responsible for one region, and then we combine different provinces into a holistic map. It's just like a puzzle of China map. People just produce one part of China and combine it together. This is very beautiful. Let's take a look at the other one. This is another map of Liaoning province. Also a delicate paper cutting. For this one, we also need a lot of people to make it. Yes, there are many cities with Liaoning province. So for the white line, you can see it is the border of different cities. Let's see where is Shenyang. So what is the feature of Shenyang here? This visitor found it quickly. This is the one palace with 2 tombs, and also the river of Shenyang. Here it is the North Tube. So we emphasize the 2 tombs of Shenyang city and also the river. I will find my hometown, Tianli, because I already seen the Longshou mountain in my hometown. And also we can see 2 people are dancing very traditional northern dance in the northeast. And for this area, it should be Dandong, because we see a very specialized dancing and the Great Wall. So this is produced by the research and the training class of the intangible cultural heritage of Shenyang Normal University. For Dalian, you can see we have some seafood, the crabs, shrimps. And this one is also our hometown. So we highlight different features of different regions of the province. It's very impressive. So how long it takes to finish this piece of art? If we have 4 to 5 people to make it, it will take them around 1 week to finish this piece of art. They have to brainstorm the regions. Yes, they have to think of different features of the regions and put it into paper cutting. Paper cutting represents folk art, and it also tells the story of folk. So it's a kind of representation of real life. And here we see 4 characters. I love Shenyang. Is this also a paper cut? We combine the 4 characters. So first we need the hollow out design, and then we have to connect the characters together. This is 2 basic techniques for the paper cutting. So for the crafters, they will make some cuttings on a colored cloth, and then using the technique of paper cutting to make such a paper cutting art. So it is not just a visual enjoyment, but also tells a story. We can see so many visitors coming to this festival. This must be a very well-known festival. And today we have many special activities today. And later we will also learn the paper cutting techniques from the masters. Maybe I could try a simple one, for example, a window flower and paste it on my window. Later we will learn together. Many people are taking photos in front of these beautiful paper cuttings. What is it? I think these are some architectures of Shenyang. So on the upper side, it is the 8 scenic spots of Shenyang. On the bottom, it is the one palace with 2 tubes. So for the scenic spots, it also represents the industrial development, cultural development, and agricultural development. For this one should be the financial center and the railway station. This is the plaza. And Shenyang is famous for sports, and you can see people are doing exercise in the plaza. On the right side, it is the soccer field. And for this one, should represents the industrial development. We can see feature sculptures on this paper cut. Because Shenyang is also famous for its heavy industry. And for this paper cut, we can see very featured architecture. The white pagoda. Through this paper cut, we just combine all these kind of scenic spots together. And we also put some plants and clouds. So we have different kinds of technique to make it. We have incised carving and positive carving. So for the positive carving, we will remain the lines, the red part for the carving to make a comparison. But for this part, we called it a incised carving. But for the positive one, we will just hollow out the other pieces and remain the key structure of the paper cut. This is also a famous paper cut for Shenyang to show its education. You can see different universities. Liaoning University. It is my university. So everyone can find out the universities they used to study in. And for this one, represents the agricultural development. You can see some crops, food. And for this one, it is quite big. It tells the story of the development of Shenyang. You can see the Imperial Palace in the middle part. Just check out the figures, characters here. They're very vivid. Here it is the one palace, 2 tombs. Also tells the history of Shenyang. So for this paper cutting, it is also made from the research and training class of intangible cultural heritage of Shenyang Normal University. You can see it takes many people's efforts to make it. So for this one, we cannot separate them just like the Chinese map. So if you take a closer look, you can see this whole piece of paper cutting is combined with smaller piece of paper cuts. So according to our impression, the paper cut just refers to a window flower. But actually, paper cutting is more than that. It is not just referred to window flower, it can be a piece of art. Let's check the paper cutting device. Let's take a closer look to the window. So when we go inside the building, it looks very splendid and filled with festive mood. And when the sunshine coming in, you can see the shape of the paper cutting. It's a brand new experience. So is this what you called the paper cutting device? It is a kind of art for the paper cutting device. For some of the paper cutting, you cannot see the hollow-out design very clearly, but if you put it on a window, when the sunshine comes in, you can see the hollow-out design clearly and made the whole piece of paper cut work more vivid. So we also keep the nature of the lights, integrating the paper cutting art. So later I will take a photo with this paper cutting. We have 5 big windows here. So what is the size for each one? So in total, the paper cutting is around 9 square meters. So what is the idea of creating a 9 square meter paper cutting? When I come here to plan this festival, I really love these 5 big windows. I think if we put the paper cut on the window, spread it on the window, it must give us a different view. So it takes us 2 to 3 days to decorate the windows and complete the paper cutting. It's teamwork. I contacted the crafters in different regions. They just work on the paper cut at their home and send it back to me. And then we combine all of this work together to produce this 9 square meter paper cut. So for this paper cut, it's common in all different regions of the province. For example, this one is coming from a community of Shenyang. It is Master Jia who led his team to produce this paper cut. When we installed the paper cut, we found some problems. And then the team just made some adjustments to put it on the window. It is not symmetrical. That's why they have to make some adjustments to make it very unique. So for this paper cutting, it tells you all the stories about spring. And also, In the center part, you can see the shape of a dog in celebration of the Year of Dog. So for this piece of art, it represents the celebration of spring as well as the Spring Festival. So when you see the lights, you can also see the two dogs. Because we got the sunlight for free, and we can see this beautiful masterpiece produced with the sunlight. Mr. Zhong is not only the planner of this festival, but also a lecturer, a teacher of Shenyang Normal University. So I know in Shenyang there is a project, what we called a research and a training class for intangible cultural heritage. So we will tell the stories to those inheritors and urge them to produce a kind of work. So this one is from Jianping County. This one is special from other paper cuts. You can see this symmetrical structure. You can see the pomegranates, phoenix. All of these figures represents auspicious blessings. And also, this paper cut represents an abundant year. What are the features for the paper cutting from Jianping County? You can see the structure is very distinct. And also the theme of the paper cup is very traditional and coming from folk art. But that depends on the craftsman, depends on the personality. Some of them would like to make a very delicate paper cutting, whereas some of them would like to make very rough structure of the paper cutting. Let's look at the other one. Also, it's very different. This is the Willow Mother. It's a very legendary figure in Northeast. You can see the leaves above this figure. Some birds are flying in. And also you can see figures dancing. So for this paper cutting, it represents the vitality of life. Let's take a closer look on the ground with the sunlight. And for this one, we call it The Legend of Shenyang. Hello. Where I come from? I'm from Huludao. So you made this Legend of Shenyang. Can you explain this to us? I studied in Shenyang, and this wants to show my gratitude to Shenyang. It's a beautiful story. So for women, when they go out for hunting, they're afraid that their kids will be caught by the wolves. So that's why we have this eccentric phenomenon that the cradle was hanged on the beam. And for the second eccentric of the Northeast is a young girl with the tobacco pot. It's very delicate. And the third eccentric phenomenon of Northeast, the window paper is pasted on the exterior of the window. Because inside the room the temperature is higher, there may generate some steam, which will rotten the paper of the window. That's why we put the paper outside of the window. So all of these three represents the Spring Festival. Very interesting, three eccentric of Northeast. Next one. So here we can see it's from a deaf school. It is the teacher from the deaf school. So the teacher led a team of deaf-mute students to create this paper cut. They talk about techniques, about the paper cut. And for this one, represents that Mr. Liu's teacher was telling him how to make paper cut. You can see for this figure, her expression is very exaggerated because these students are deaf-mute. That's why the teacher has to be exaggerated in his sound or voice. It's a very touching thing. Even though they cannot hear or speak, at least we have our hands. We can produce art. They can also use this kind of technique to earn a living. It's a very treacherous art. It is a very touching scene on this paper cut. And on this side, we also see a lot of interesting works. So for these ones are the 24 solar terms. So what is this one? We can see this one have different colors. It represents different solar terms. For example, the beginning of the winter, lesser snow, greater snow, the winter solstice. Well, we're very lucky to have the artist here. So you dress well with the town uniform. So how you come up with the idea to create 24 solar terms? You know, it's very traditional in China for the 24 solar terms and also the 12 zodiac. We have so many Chinese sayings about the solar terms, so I want to use figures to explain the solar term. So you can see we have different things for each paper cut. The beginning of the autumn, we have a pumpkin there to show the harvest. And we also have the end of heat, the white dew, the autumn equinox. So for the white dew, why you put a pig there? Because it also represents that we are ready for the Spring Festival. Also a meaning of harvest. We have a big pig and smaller ones. Next one, the autumn equinox, also represents harvest. And for the cold dew, I show two fish. So fish also represents surplus in China, meaning that each year we will have an abundant year. So in Heilongjiang, they also made the paper cut with the skin of the fish. That's very unique. So why you want to use the figure to represent the 24 solar terms? I just want to explain the idea of family. You can see here we have one woman holding two babies. It's just a sense of family. And we just passed the solar term, the beginning of spring. For the beginning of spring, I put some bamboos here, meaning that you can see the bamboo is growing up. And also, I show the growing up with the kid. So this is the general idea. However, in Shenyang, the beginning of spring is still very cold. Next one is the rainwater. I just want to show that the spring is coming with all the flowers in blossom. So I produce one paper cup per day because it's an urgent task. I work with my team members. I like paper cuts since my childhood. So when I produce this paper cut, I also put something on top of this paper cup. So in the past, when we see solar terms, we always see different kind of sceneries. But Mr. Feng's idea is quite unique because he put a lot of figures on the paper cut to convey the idea of the unity of family. And for this one is the pure brightness, the fifth solar term. It's quite decorative, but it is very modernized design. So we want to use the idea of a family to represent the solar term. It's very creative. So my teacher told me a lot about the technique of the paper cut. I try to integrate that into my work. So can you explain to me the differences between the traditional paper cut and the modern paper cut? I'm quite familiar with the modern paper cut, and for the traditional paper cut, I don't know quite a lot, but I used to attend a training class to understand that much better, to understand the intangible cultural heritage. I need to accumulate more knowledge about our cultural heritage, and then to convey my feelings into my work. I also want to incorporate the ancient art together with the modern art. And I also want to promote the paper cutting technique outside of China. So tradition is not enough, but we have to be more modernized for the paper cutting to add more innovative elements into the paper cutting. Thank you so much for your introduction. As the inheritors of the intangible cultural heritage, we know a lot about the folk art. However, we need to add more modernized elements into the paper cutting. For this one, it's quite a creative paper cut. What is it? It feels like an embroidery on a piece of cloth, a piece of silk. So for this one, it's difficult to make compared to a paper cut. For this cloth is transparent, and we put different pieces of silk and laid it together. So you can see that we have all of these like figures on different levels on this silk. So for this cut, we are showing the agricultural life along the river, and also people are celebrating the festival with traditional dance and some poetries and the farmings along the bank. So after seeing all these kind of paper cuts, we also see a lot of blessings. And another traditional cut, we call it circular cut. I saw something interesting for this one. Is it a hat? Yes, we incorporate the paper cut technique to a headwear. It's just like a hat, a decoration of the head. It's like a cape, a paper cutting cape. And for the material, we chose different kinds. For example, we also chose some wooden peels. And here we also add some color to the paper cutting. We first produce the black frame and put a cover on top of the paper cutting. This is a color paper cutting. After we add color onto the paper cut, it becomes more three-dimensional. Can I wear the hat? Yes. Now you put it on a model, but later you can see some photos. Now we see the paper cutting become more closely related to our life. It is not just a piece of art that was pasted on our walls. We have special planned project today. We also produced a calendar this year, invited 12 inheritors to produce it. For example, this month is February. You can hollow out the February and then to make a handmade paper cutting. So this calendar tells the visitors, the audience, how to make a paper cut. So this is the national inheritor Wang Xiuxia. This is the original piece. These two little puppies. So you can see the characteristic and personality of the artist. So these two puppies are very intimate to each other. And we scanned this pattern onto the calendar. At the beginning, I just tell you that the very important part of the paper cutting technique, the hollow out design and also the connection technology. This is also the original model. We use this one to print out the calendar. This is very interesting. Here, with the very traditional piece, with luck, the Chinese character luck in the middle. So this one is to bring fortune and luck to the audience. I want to go out there to learn how to make paper cuts. I'm not smart, but I really want to learn how to do a paper cut. I see many kids are here. So, what are you making? What is it? So, I want to cut the character spring. Because the Spring Festival is coming. So, you make it yourself? Yes. How long it takes? It takes me around 5 minutes to make it. Very beautiful. So, what are you going to do with this paper cut? I want to put it on my wall. Thank you. I see so many children here to make the paper cut. So, what are you making? I want to make a window flower. Take your time. So, as we are already here, I also want to learn how to make the paper cut. I'm the CCTV reporter. I'm doing a live streaming. Welcome to the first paper cutting festival in Shenyang. Now I'm teaching the folks how to make a circular cut. Circular cut. Let me see this circular cut. What does that mean? You mean a cluster of flowers? Yes, it's a cluster of flowers using the technique of circular cut. It also represents the great wealth and the power. Can you teach us? We also want to learn how to make this cut. Just show me something simple. We have met some masters here who can show me how to make the paper cut. Maybe we just do a simple cut of the circular cut. If you don't have the red paper, maybe you can just use a white paper. If you don't have the red paper, you can use the white paper. Is it difficult? I want to learn something simple. I will show you. First, fold it into a square. So the first step is fold it. What's next? And fold it back and cut. So first made it as a square. We see many children are here to learn how to make paper cuts. It's a very interesting activity. They are saying that it's very magical. I'm not very smart at cutting. So first we make it a square for the red paper. And then fold it again to a triangle and find the center part. Wait a moment. So fold it to 1/3. Is it like that? Yes. So first find the center part and then find the place of 1/3 and then fold it again. I will do it on my own. First, fold it to a triangle and then find the center part, fold it at its 1/3. This is 1/3, just like a funnel. We call it a 6-fold circular cut. And then we fold it again. And fold the other side. I'm very clumsy. I don't know if I can make the paper cut correctly. It is a hollow out design for the paper cut. So you can see the master is very ingenious. How many years have you been? My parents are very good at the paper cutting, and I also learned from my master. In 2016, I also attended the research and the training class organized by Shenyang Normal University. It's a small puppy. Yes, it's a head. Now you can see the frame. You're right. If you have a pair of scissors, you can create the world. First, I will cut the frame. I just want to show it clearly to everyone. In principle, we should make the cut first in order to display. Maybe you can just show the frame, the structure. You make the tail very vivid for the dog. It is a rough cut. It's okay, we just want to understand the idea. Now I'm cutting the leg. Now we can see the shape of a dog. So how long it takes you to cut a dog? Maybe over 10 or 15 minutes. For beginners, probably you have to draw the dog first. So you have to draw it first and then to cut it. And you also put some patterns on the body of the dog. So maybe you can just give us an idea of the shape. Now you're doing the hollow out. No, I'm not cutting the eyes yet. So this is the shape of the dog. So we can see the master is very ingenious. So you're very popular here. Kids love this kind of art. So you're also cutting out the eyes for the dog. I just want to make it beautiful and emphasize the hollow out design. For beginners, you can draw the shape of the dog first and then you start to use your scissors to cut it. But for you, you already have this kind of shape in your mind. Yes. That's why every time when I make the paper cut, each paper cut is different. This is it. So the master just used less than 2 minutes to make the dog. It's very cute. So just several cuts and make a very beautiful dog shape paper cut. Now I want to add the ears of the dog. Then it will look much prettier. This is also the hollow out design. This is the ear. to make it more lively. So for this part represents the ear of the dog. Every time when we make the paper cut, if we don't draw it beforehand, each time you get a different kind of paper cut. So paper cut can represent our ideas and the best wishes for the life. And the year of dog is coming pretty soon. So take this opportunity. I would want to wish everyone Happy New Year. So if you have time, just find a pair of scissors and a piece of paper to make your own paper cut. Thank you for watching. Wish you all the good luck for the year of dog.